All right. This video is mainly for beginners that are wanting to learn guitar. Um, Sometimes, when you're learning guitar, it's very exciting and you want to, play all over the fretboard. You want to know all the notes, you want to know all the note names, and you kind of can get immersed in that. And and sometimes in your journey in learning guitar, you might go to YouTube, for example, and look at videos on how to play. And sometimes you may come across so many different versions of and so many different needs of what you should know, what you should learn first, what you shouldn't learn first. I'm just going to show just what was unique to me and how I learned. Um, it's not necessarily very textbook, but I learned from a guy from my church, and we did a lot of things by ear. So I didn't even really know about the note names until maybe like a couple years later. But I just had so many shapes under my fingers just from practicing and like seeing what I saw and seeing what I saw him play. So I'm just saying that to show I just never really immersed myself with the note names. I pretty much just knew where the root was and where to start these patterns and shapes, because a lot of guitar is just patterns and shapes, and a lot of them are movable, which makes guitar really fun to play. But I'm here just making a short video, and just as a starting place, just in case it's a little bit overwhelming and you think you need to know so much theory. Well, I didn't start off with theory, so you can play guitar without knowing much theory. But just to give some advice to people who might have been in my shoes, or having it be too complicated to learn, um, this is what I do. So, and I'll put a picture of this pattern on this video. We're going to look at, let's just say, the G major pentatonic scale. Now, let's not worry about the notes for right now, but it's a 5 note scale, penta meaning 5. We're going to start at the 3rd fret on your low E string. Your low E string, we're going to start at the 3rd fret. And how I like to think about this is the shape that I use for this scale does not exceed 4 frets. All the notes in this shape are within 4 frets. Of course, you can go up for the octaves and all that, but we're not going to worry about that. Let's look at the 3rd fret right now, and I'll put a picture of what that looks like too on some fretboard manuscript. So let's go to the low E string, your 3rd fret. And by it being within 4 frets, I like to think that wherever is the pattern is within those 4 frets, my index finger is going to be always in one. My middle finger is always going to be in the second one from that. Ring finger, pinky, so on. So the G major pentatonic. We're going to take our middle finger, fret it on third fret, low E. You're going to take your pinky, put on the 5th fret. Take your index. Now we're going to go to the A string and put on the 2nd fret. Take your pinky again on the 5th fret of that same A string. Take your index again for the D string, 2nd fret. Take your pinky again for the 5th fret on the D string. And that's just an octave up. We're going to keep going. So take your index finger again, 2nd fret on your G. Take your ring finger, now 4th fret on G. Now this gets kind of weird, and there's a couple ways you can do this, but just for the sake of getting, sticking with our 4 fingers and the 4 frets, you're going to take your middle finger, put it on the 3rd fret of the B string. Take your pinky, put it on the 5th fret of the B string. Now take your middle again, put it on the 3rd fret of the E. All right, and now take your pinky and put it on the 5th fret of the high E2. So I'm going to play it slow, and this is the pattern we just played with the fingers I just described. Now I'm going to go backwards. Now, if I wanted to take that pattern, again, guitar is a lot of shapes and patterns. I could take that same shape that I did for this pentatonic scale, change the root, and the fingerings would be the same if I wanted to play it exactly like that, just to make it easier on myself. So just for the sake of doing it to show as an example, I'm going to go up to A on the low E string, which is on the 5th fret. Now, if I do that same pattern, now it's A major pentatonic, where since you're starting on A. But if I go back to this G where we started, now it's G major pentatonic. And it's just 5 notes. And then you go up the octave, and back to another octave up. Now, what does that mean for you? Knowing this, why do I need to know this? How does this help me? I would say, when I was learning, what really helped me once I kind of learned what shapes were, and at least where the roots were on the low E string and the A string, was I would take, for example, since we're doing that G major pentatonic, I would spend hours on YouTube, way too much. But I would look up things like G major backing track, and that'd be various progressions I did not understand, of course, back then. But I knew it was at least I would at least be improvising somewhat a scale I know over a tonality that matched it, or a progression that matched it. And it wasn't easy at first. I definitely fumbled a bunch, but I mean, everyone does. That's what happens when you learn something new. You mess up till it becomes, something that's easy. But that's what I would do. I would show an example, but I don't want to post someone's backing track to, have any kind of copyright or, anything like that, because that's not my business. But I can at least show a few examples of something I do. And of course, sometimes it had metronome, sometimes it wasn't. But, you know, in learning those scales, I might just do like a 3 note thing, maybe put another note in there. And then if I saw something like 2 strings being adjacent, just like that, where it's like these 2 notes are in that scale and so are these 2 notes. Of course, you hear people like Hendrix and a lot of R&B. You hear those slides, so I'd see that and be like, oh, I can do this, and that's within this G major pentatonic shape. Again, here's another one. So I mean, you gotta do it at your own pace. You gotta do it in your own way. And then another note, just when you're fretting these notes, make sure you're really comfortable. Don't have your shoulders up. Don't be tense when you're playing these notes. I use about as little force as I need just to really press this down. And I also have my guitar set up really low, so it just requires less work, which is how I like it. You know, that's no effort at all. Anyway, well, I hope this was helpful for anyone who's beginning to learn who might be frustrated. I hope this gives some kind of idea, and at least a starting path. Wherever you may learn is your journey and where you go. But I know that it took me a while, and I learned different from everyone too, and it wasn't easy, and I had to really boil it down and just do what I could without knowing theory. So if you got something out of this, drop a comment. Let me know if this is something you like. Consider subscribing. I want to post videos and play instrumental covers of songs and just share my knowledge of guitar stuff with other people. Just to see if it may help, because there were a lot of unconventional ways that helped me. I'd like to keep that going. Anyway, thanks for watching.